I'm Dr. Lamb. There's another video on elements of that first chapter of Kilbane and Milman. Kilbane and Milman. Sorry, Kilbane and Milman. Ha, funny. Anyway, this one gets really into differentiation and equity and diversity and differentiating instruction. So this is my kind of 2 cents talking head lecture on that. And from textbook you get this culturally responsive and certain criteria, the 6 kind of elements, culturally responsive instruction, pedagogy as it will, but validating affirms the students' backgrounds by acknowledging individual heritage and learning styles, comprehensive, culturally responsive teaching focus on whole individual, not just the culture. Teachers should consider how instruction might affect students cognitively, socially, psychologically, physically, among other dimensions. Multidimensional. Teachers employ cultural responsive teaching should plan instruction that provides students with multiple perspectives, media, strategies, understanding of the content. It's empowering. Culturally responsive teaching should help students achieve high academic success, increase their self-confidence, improve the world around them. Transformative. Cultural backgrounds and academic strengths. It builds that in students and resulting in positive transformations his or her consciousness. And then emancipatory, where the culturally responsive teaching liberates learners from the idea that there's only one truth or one way to do things. It offers a sense of freedom through cooperation, community, and connectedness. And that's what we're called to do. And we in America have a distinct advantage in this because we have many students from many different cultural backgrounds, and we can pull from that, and we can have individuals in the classroom that help share their own understanding of their culture and how it relates to community and advancement in life. And that's what education is that you understand the culture and the people around you, and you find ways that can help advance that culture and that civilization. And that's what education is. We teach reading, writing, and arithmetic, and we provide it publicly because we in America started this country saying that we're going to provide that education because that's going to help us as a civilization move forward. We're going to become bigger, better, brighter, more advanced because we're going to focus education. We're going to say it's important. We're going to put money to that. And that's what you as a teacher are going to benefit from, that to where they're going to entrust in you the ability to help expand that knowledge in students and create the next generation of people that will lead. And we have to be culturally responsive in that. We need to understand the culture around us, understand the culture of kids around us individually in the classroom, and then the culture around globally, because we are a global society. We are, or global civilization now. I mean, the internet and the interweb is something that has created. We need to understand how life is outside of the walls of our classroom, outside the walls of the city limits of our hometowns, outside the state lines, and then outside the country lines, and know what's going on around the world. Equity. We have RTI, response to instruction, intervention, response to intervention. We have Individual Disability Education Act, IDEA. Here's some other images. You got kids that struggle. We got to understand how to address those needs. Kids of different socioeconomic status. You have kids of different cultural background. It's not just a shade of brown. It is what is the life of the individual child and the individual groups of children. Every child in your classroom is a culture. That child has their own culture, and you need to be responsive to that individual's culture. What that child deals with on a daily basis makes that child important, and we need to find a way to teach that child. And then you go a little bit wider, and you have children that have similar traits, and so we look at a subpopulation or a little bit larger population. And then you go greater than that, and you expand it where you have different subgroups that have similar things in common, so we put those together. You get things like, we are a nation, we are America, but then we're also Texans, and we're also Mississippians, and then within that we're East Texans, and then within that we are Tyler, East Texas kids, and then within that you got the 75701 East Texas Tyler kids in America, and so it's that dynamic that we need to understand, and it's the equity within that. It's addressing individual needs, but knowing how all that connects to the global kind of element as well. Tomlinson, differentiated instruction occurs when a teacher proactively plans varied approaches to what students need to learn, how they will learn it, and how they can express what they have learned in order to increase the likelihood that each student will learn as much as he or she can efficiently as possible. That's differentiated instruction. And sometimes differentiated instruction means that you got to teach, or you got to show it, or you got to explain it 30 different ways so that every kid in the classroom gets it. And if that's what you're called to do, that's what you're called to do, and that's what your profession is as a teacher. Accountability, we can't get around it, and that's okay. We have no child left behind. This is the understanding by design model. Teachers examine desired results of instruction, outcomes, the evidence that they will use to demonstrate students have achieved and desired results. Finally, develop the learning plan, the units and lessons. Talking about data-driven decision making. We as teachers need to collect information, assess our students via asking questions, making observations, giving them quizzes, giving them tests, exams. We need to assess what they're doing and make decisions based off that assessment. We need to determine if student achievement is taking place. Good teachers do that intrinsically. They just know how to do it. Effective teachers use data all the time. Every word that comes out of their mouth is based off of some decision they made off of data they collected. It may have been something they saw the day before or minutes before, and they make that decision right then of what to do. And that's data-driven decision making. It's not just numbers. It's not just a percent pass. It's data that you collect on those individuals that help you differentiate your instruction, help you teach better in the whole class. That's what teaching is. That's what effective teachers do. But here's understanding by design, the kind of stages of backward design. You look at, when you're trying to plan your lesson, you look at the outcomes. You look at what you want. Identify the desired results. What do you want students to be able to do at the end of this lesson? And then what are some questions that you can ask as you're building up to that desired result? And then determine what accessible evidence you can obtain. Telling evidence of understanding. Will assessment reveal to distinguish those who really understand versus those who seem to understand? And then plan learning experiences and instruction using guiding questions. It's all connected, the beginning, middle, and the end. And you think about what the outcomes are. You start making a plan. How can I ask questions? What can I get students to do? How can I determine if they reach that outcome, that goal of mine? And it's all about the design, and that's what this course is about. So you get 21st century learners, again, characteristics, they're individuals. Many of you are individuals, and I do my best to address the individual needs of individuals. And so you as a 21st century teacher need to understand that of your 21st century learners. They're growing up in a country and a culture where personal freedom, self-expression, and individuality are not only accepted but also encouraged, valued, and celebrated. We value it. We celebrate it. We give you those opportunities, those venues to express yourself, to be yourself, to be that individual. And that can be difficult sometimes, especially in a traditional teaching type environment, to where it is only one way that's important, and it's the teacher's way. And you can meet students and they can totally wall up and not want to learn at all because you're being so restrictive in the way that you connect to them in their individuality. Culturally, linguistically diverse. You can have students that speak many languages in many different ways, and dialects and accents and inflection. All of these things take place in the classroom. Recent data suggested students in our nation's schools speak more than 450 languages. It's probably not going to happen in one particular classroom. You may be unique, and if you added up all the languages that every kid can speak, it may come up to 450. But the idea is that you got a lot of languages out there, and the language barrier is so challenging that you got to overcome it. Exceptionalities are identified physical, cognitive, emotional, behavioral characteristics significantly different from the society norm. And you have students that have special needs. They can get tested for that and provide accommodations, and you got to accommodate for them. And then you have digital characteristics. Students are very handy at communicating in their classroom with technology, even though you don't allow it. Cell phones in their pocket. I remember I've observed many classrooms sitting behind one student in the back, and they're texting across, and the mentor teacher and the student teacher did not realize it. They had it in their pocket and just to the side and just looking down and texting with their thumb and sending messages back and forth. So you have to understand that. I don't know if you embrace it fully, as in, yeah, you can have your cell phones out, because then learning won't take place as effectively. But you have to moderate it. You got to understand it and use it. Use it to your advantage. You know, kid gets a cell phone out. Okay, great. Look up something for me. Research something for me right now. We're talking about 21st century learners. Find a site, a source, a picture, something on 21st century learning, and then they're actively engaged in that. And if they text on the side, you have to address that with your behavior stuff. So I guess that's it for chapter 1. Thanks for watching. Take care.